Hello everyone and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Luna, her eyes wild with a fury fueled by betrayal, jealousy, and years of emotional suppression, stood in the Forrester guesthouse gripping a shattered photo frame, blood on her palm from the broken glass as tears streaked down her cheeks. She doesn't deserve it, Luna whispered to herself, her voice trembling yet edged with venom. She took everything. My mother's respect. My place in this family. My chance. My future. And now, she'll pay. At the main house, Steffi Forrester was unaware of the danger lurking nearby. She was busy preparing for an executive board meeting, trying to balance her role as co-CEO, mother, and wife, blissfully unaware that Luna, once her mentee and ally, had grown into something darker. What started as envy festered into hatred. It wasn't just about RJ anymore. It was about identity, justice, and vengeance. When Remy, Luna's cousin, discovered scribbled pages in Luna's diary detailing plans to remove the obstacle, he didn't hesitate. He rushed through the heavy gates of the LAPD station, breathless and panicked, demanding to speak with Lieutenant Baker, slamming the diary onto the desk, shouting, "She's going to kill Steffi. You have to stop her before it's too late." Lieutenant Baker, skeptical at first, flipped through the pages and grew visibly pale. The entries were methodical. Disturbing. Final dress fitting. Steffi won't see it coming. She always thought she was better than me, one passage read. No more hiding. No more waiting. One push, and silence. The cliffside photo of Steffi and her children had a red X drawn over it in another entry. "We've got enough for probable cause," Baker muttered grimly. Back at the mansion, Luna had made her way into the private garden where Steffi often meditated. She carried a velvet-lined box, inside which was a vial, clear liquid, deadly, fast-acting. A gift from someone in her past, someone with secrets of their own. She hid in the shadows as Steffi descended the stone steps, phone pressed to her ear, laughing lightly, unsuspecting. Luna's fingers tightened around the vial. Her mind was racing. The sound of her mother's voice, of RJ's laughter, of Steffi's calm, self-assured tone, they all rang like sirens in her ears. Suddenly, a hand grabbed her shoulder. "Luna, don't do this." Remy shouted, breathless from sprinting through the estate. "This isn't who you are." Luna turned, startled, eyes wide like a cornered animal. "You don't know what she did. She ruined everything," she screamed. "She took my life." The commotion drew Steffi's attention. She looked up, confused. "Luna? What's going on?" Remy pushed Luna to the side just as Lieutenant Baker arrived with two officers, guns drawn. "Luna Nozawa, step away from Steffi Forrester. You are under arrest for attempted murder." Luna's body went slack, the vial falling from her hands, shattering on the flagstone with a hiss. "No," she screamed, as officers cuffed her. She had it coming. Steffi stood frozen, eyes wide, pulse racing. "She wanted to kill me," she whispered. "I let her into our home." Luna was dragged away, kicking and screaming. "You'll all see. She's not innocent. She's not what you think." Remy fell to his knees, sobbing. Lieutenant Baker approached Steffi and said gravely, "You're lucky we got here when we did. She had everything planned. If Remy hadn't come forward, today could have ended very differently." And just like that, the Forrester estate, which had withstood scandal, betrayal, and heartbreak, was once again stained by secrets too dangerous to be hidden. But this time, the threat had come from within. Bill admits to his guilt, and Steffi disapproves of Luna's next step. As Steffi Forrester considers Luna Nozawa's next course of action, Bill Spencer will confess to Lee Finnegan. John Finnegan simply displayed his ferocious side and made a sincere effort to make his point at the Cliff home. Finn made it apparent that he would never be able to forgive Luna for her transgressions, even in spite of her heartfelt plea. Luna is holding on to the hope that they could have a genuine relationship if Finn would only think for himself. But even without Steffi present to express her viewpoint, Finn refused to back down. If Finn had been in Luna's life from the beginning, He could have been a good influence and helped lead her in the right direction. It's too late to make amends now since it didn't occur. On Thursday's B&B episode, Luna will have yet another cause to resent Steffi after Finn angrily crushed her hopes of a father-daughter bond and told her not to go there ever again. Luna will be feeling more vindictive than ever since she will continue to believe that Steffi tricked Finn into thinking this way. Steffi will eventually return home and receive an update on Luna's most recent visit. Steffi will be furious about that, but she will be grateful to hear how Finn corrected Luna. Though it's only the beginning, Steffi will hope that their Luna nightmare is over. Steffi won't understand how hazardous this impending confrontation is, but it appears that Luna will return for a Steffi ambush later and enrage her even more. An alarming scenario is imminent because Luna is prepared and armed to permanently destroy Steffi. Bill will meet with Lee and make a challenging admission in the interim. Bill may confess to Lee on Thursday's show because he is concerned that he may have erred in releasing Luna from prison. Bill Spencer stood by the glass window in his high-rise office, the skyline of Los Angeles stretching endlessly before him, but even that breathtaking view couldn't distract him from the crushing weight bearing down on his chest. The guilt. The confusion. The regret. It was all-consuming. His eyes reflected the torment that had taken residence in his soul, an unshakable storm of doubt since the moment he pulled strings to get Luna Nozawa out of prison. He had believed he was doing the right thing. He had convinced himself, as he always did, that he had control over the situation. That he could outmaneuver consequences the same way he maneuvered business deals, boardrooms, and hostile takeovers. But this wasn't a hostile takeover, it was a hostile unraveling. And it was happening from within. He had believed in Luna. Believed in her tears. Believed in her pain. Believed she deserved a second chance, especially as the world around her turned against her. She was young, impetuous, broken, but wasn't everyone? He thought back to his own past, to all the times he had been written off and misunderstood. He thought he saw a spark of redemption in Luna. But what if he was wrong? What if he had set a monster free? Now, in the stillness of his penthouse suite, he replayed every moment, every word she had spoken, every look in her eye, looking for the lie, the manipulation. But none of it felt like deceit at the time. And that's what terrified him most. If she was playing him, if she was dangerous, then what did that say about him, about his instincts, about his ability to protect the people he cared about? He clenched his fists and turned away from the window, his mind made up. He had to tell someone. He had to confide in someone he trusted, someone who wouldn't be afraid to call him out, to ground him, to give him clarity. Only one person came to mind, Lee Finnegan. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, the tension was rising like the Pacific tides at the Cliff House. Steffi Forrester was walking through the front door just as John Finnegan stood brooding in the living room, his shoulders rigid, his jaw clenched, a storm in his eyes. The encounter with Luna had shaken him to his core. She had begged, pleaded, cried, but none of it could change what he knew. Luna had betrayed everyone, most of all herself. And despite the flicker of something human he'd seen in her eyes, he could not, and would not, allow her back into his life. Steffi sensed it the moment she walked in, something had happened. Something big. And when Finn told her that Luna had come by again, she saw red. Not just because Luna dared to violate their space, but because this girl, this interloper, had once again attempted to rewrite the narrative. But when Finn detailed the way he shut Luna down, how he stood firm, how he made it clear she was not welcome, Steffi softened, just for a moment. She praised him, reassured him, reminded him that they were a team. But behind her words was a growing unease. Steffi knew Luna wasn't finished. Girls like Luna never quit, they just changed tactics. And she was right. Outside, Luna Nozawa stood near the cliff's edge, hidden by the trees, her hands trembling, her heart pounding with a cocktail of rage and heartbreak. She had tried. She had tried to reach her father. She had opened herself up, made herself vulnerable, offered him the chance to know her, to build something real. And he rejected her. He called her a criminal. He told her to never come back. She had imagined a homecoming, a tearful embrace, a renewed sense of purpose, Instead, she got exile. And in her mind, it was all Steffi's doing. Steffi had poisoned Finn. Steffi had taken everything from her, her family, her freedom, her future. And she wasn't going to let that go. Not anymore. The old Luna would have cried herself to sleep, but the new Luna, the Luna forged in betrayal, fire, and rejection, was done being a victim. She had something in her purse now. Something cold. Something final. And if Steffi wanted a war, Luna was ready to bring it. Back in Beverly Hills, Bill met with Lee at her office, pacing like a man possessed. Lee had always been one of the few people who could look Bill in the eye and cut through his bravado. And today, he needed that more than ever. When he finally sat down, he didn't start with excuses or deflections. He went straight to the truth. "I made a mistake," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I shouldn't have helped Luna." Lee's expression didn't change, stoic, clinical, but her eyes sharpened. "What happened?" she asked, already fearing the worst. Bill explained everything, how Luna came to him, how she begged for mercy, how he pulled every legal string he had, cashed in favors, worked behind the scenes to expunge her record, to set her free. He believed she was a lost girl with a broken heart. He believed in her pain. But now? Now she was spiraling. She was obsessed with Steffi. She blamed her for everything. She wanted revenge. "You didn't just make a mistake," Lee snapped. "You may have unleashed a threat on my family." Her words hit Bill like a punch to the gut. He had thought he was helping a wounded soul. Now it seemed he may have armed a ticking time bomb. At the Cliff House, Steffi tried to refocus. She needed to stay sharp. She had kids to protect. A family to run. A legacy to uphold. But the air felt thick, electric, as if the walls themselves knew something was coming. And that's when the doorbell rang. Steffi frowned. She wasn't expecting anyone. Finn had just gone to the hospital. She looked out the window, no car in the driveway. Strange. When she opened the door, Luna stood there. Her eyes were wild. Her smile was twisted. "We need to talk," she said. Steffi hesitated, but something primal flared inside her, anger, defiance, the need to protect. "You're not welcome here," Steffi spat. "I'm not going anywhere," Luna replied, stepping forward. Steffi blocked her path, but Luna's hand reached into her purse. In that moment, time slowed. The silence was deafening. Luna pulled out a small object, dark, metallic. Steffi's breath caught in her throat. "What are you doing?" she asked. Luna's eyes flickered. "Taking back control." But just then, the sound of tires screeched in the driveway. Bill had raced from Lee's office straight to the Cliff House, spurred by a gut feeling that something was very wrong. He burst through the door just as Luna raised her hand, and time snapped back into motion. Bill tackled Luna to the ground. The weapon clattered to the floor. Steffi stood frozen, breathless, her heart hammering. The room erupted in chaos. Bill pinned Luna down, shouting for Steffi to call the police. Luna screamed, fought, wept. "She ruined everything," she shouted. "She took him from me." And in that moment, all of it spilled out, her heartbreak, her fury, her delusion. The sirens came quickly. Officers stormed the scene. Luna was restrained, arrested, screaming Finn's name as she was dragged away. Steffi collapsed into a chair, shaken to her core. Bill stood over her, silent, bruised, his guilt now written across his face in ink that would never fade. Later that night, the Cliff House was quiet again, but nothing would ever be the same. Steffi and Finn stood together, holding each other close, processing the trauma, the betrayal, the narrow escape. Bill visited one more time to apologize, to offer whatever support he could, but Steffi could barely look at him. "You trusted her," she said coldly. "You almost got me killed." And with that, she closed the door, leaving Bill alone in the dark, with nothing but his conscience to answer to. Luna ambushes Steffi, Bill confesses to Lee, and Finn is rejected. Luna Nozawa plans to ambush Steffi Forrester Finnegan at home. Meanwhile, Bill Spencer confesses to Lee Finnegan. Continue reading to learn more about what will happen in the next episode of CBS's soap drama. John Finnegan's rejection. Fans simply stared as Luna smashed through the entrance of Steffi and John Finnegan's home. Luna asked her father to pursue a relationship with her, stating that Steffi was not present to sway his view. Luna was startled and ashamed when Finn gave her his final response. Luna Nozawa's ambush. Luna wrinkled up her face in rage as Finn yelled at her and stated they would never be in a relationship. It is implied that Luna will ambush Steffi in her own home. So, once Luna leaves Finn, she must return to confront Steffi face to face. Steffi may be in serious risk if Luna practices shooting a gun. Taylor Hayes recently warned Steffi about Luna's delusions and unpredictable behavior. Taylor was also concerned about a report from Penelope Poppy Nozawa concerning Luna's obsession with Steffi. Bill Spencer's confession. The bold and the beautiful teasers for the next episode state that Bill will have a brief conversation with Lee. This will be about Luna, with Bill making a confession. Bill is expected to tell Lee that granting Luna parole was a huge mistake. That is when Lee might inform Bill about Luna's recent threats. Bill needs redemption. How will he resolve this situation? Thursday, June 12, 2025. Bill could opt to find Luna and deal with her on his own. Another option is that Liam Spencer will end up saving Steffi. Luna had no idea Liam is staying at Shin. So, when Luna charges in with a gun, intending to kill Steffi, may Liam perform a life-saving act to protect those he cares about? If that's the case, is this Liam's final act? It appears that a large group of individuals could band together to save Steffi from Luna. Liam is one possibility, but Bill, Lee, Poppy, Sheila Carter-Sharp, and Finn could all have an impact on Luna and Steffi's futures, so stay tuned. It was a stormy night in Los Angeles, the kind that felt like nature itself was echoing the emotional turbulence simmering beneath the surface of the lives of the Forresters, Spencers, and Finnegans. Inside the Cliff House, things were far from quiet. Tension still clung to the walls after Luna Nozawa's explosive encounter with John Finnegan. Earlier that day, Luna had burst through the door, raw emotion carved into every line of her face, pleading, almost desperate, for her father to acknowledge her as something more than a tragic mistake or an inconvenient truth. She had waited her whole life for this moment, believing that Finn, the golden-hearted doctor with a reputation for compassion and loyalty, would somehow see through the chaos and recognize the bond that tied them. But instead of a heartfelt reunion, she was met with a wall of cold rejection. Finn, torn between the tangled loyalties of love, duty, and truth, stood firm. Steffi wasn't home at the time, a calculated move by Luna who thought her absence might give her the advantage, might free Finn from the bias she believed Steffi instilled in him. But it wasn't Steffi who turned him away. It was Finn himself. His voice didn't tremble. He told Luna flatly and finally that he couldn't have a relationship with her. Her past, her crimes, her obsession with Steffi, they were too much. Luna had crossed too many lines, and he wasn't going to let her cross any more. The rejection was absolute. Luna's face twisted, a storm of grief, anger, and something darker flickering in her eyes. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. But she left with a silence more dangerous than any outburst. And that's when everything began to unravel. Luna Nozawa had always lived on the fringes, never fully embraced by the family that bore her name. Raised by her mother, Poppy, under a cloud of secrecy and speculation, Luna had grown up with questions no one would answer and a bitterness that only festered with time. Her eventual spiral was no surprise to those who had watched her from a distance. But her release on parole was seen as a second chance. Poppy believed it. Even Bill Spencer, ever the cynic, had come to believe that maybe, just maybe, Luna could start over. But she didn't want to start over. She wanted revenge. And now, with Finn's rejection seared into her soul, Luna's focus shifted, fully and violently, toward Steffi Forrester Finnegan. The woman she blamed for everything. Steffi, in Luna's eyes, had it all: Finn's love, a powerful family, a picture-perfect life, and most of all, influence. Luna convinced herself that Steffi had poisoned Finn against her, that Steffi's constant whispers in Finn's ear were the reason he could look into the eyes of his own daughter and see nothing. That night, Luna returned to the Forrester estate, but not to sulk. She had a plan. With calculated rage, she armed herself. She had been practicing at a gun range, and while no one knew it yet, her aim had become deadly. She was no longer interested in redemption. She wanted Steffi to pay. Taylor Hayes had warned everyone, warned them that Luna was not just troubled but dangerous. Taylor had spent years analyzing the patterns of emotional instability, and Luna fit a profile she had hoped never to see again. Obsession. Narcissistic delusion. A desire for control. Taylor tried to sound the alarm, sharing Poppy Nozawa's frightened concerns that Luna was unraveling, her fixation on Steffi becoming all-consuming. But it was too late. Luna was already on her way. With the waves crashing outside the cliff house and the night cloaked in heavy shadows, Steffi found herself alone at home, reading a bedtime story to Kelly, unaware that the final chapter of her peaceful life might be about to close. At the same time, across town, Bill Spencer sat with Lee Finnegan, his expression uncharacteristically grim. For weeks, Bill had kept his thoughts to himself, trying to navigate the tension that came with being Luna's secret backer. He had pulled strings to help get Luna paroled, had believed her claims of change. But now, with everything unraveling, guilt was crashing in on him like a tidal wave. He confessed to Lee that he was the one who got Luna out. He told her that he had believed in second chances, that he thought maybe helping Luna would help him make peace with his past. But now he feared he had made a monumental mistake.